Hey, this is Toussaint Morrison with Social Science Club. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you find this video helpful or useful or informational, please click the like button or click subscribe or both. That'd be great. Let's jump right into it. So this video today is about, can you coexist with somebody that you disagree with? And I want to go deeper with this in the sense of, can you coexist with somebody that you have political disagreements on? And when we talk about political, that is what's ever going on in your country. Politics can mean different things in different countries, but people in the US usually see Republican, Democrat. And that might be what is pertaining to you right now while you're watching this video. And so I'll speak to it very quickly in that my experience throughout the uprising here in Minneapolis in 2020, 2021, and you could say part of 2022, and really whenever there's state-sanctioned violence that occurs, immediately right after, there is a reaction, and there are opposing ideologies, there's opposing opinions, opposing views, and the way that I break this down is we were running a march in Minneapolis, and we were going to the mayor's house, who had ran his campaign on housing equity and affordable housing. And in 2020, Mayor Jacob Frey here in Minneapolis was looking at one of the largest houseless populations in the history of Minneapolis. So ran a campaign on ending houselessness and creating affordable housing. Didn't do that. Actually did a worse job than anybody else has. And so we marched to his residence and marched with a lot of folks that were experiencing houselessness at the time. And the march had been, put out there, was public, people knew what was gonna happen. And when we pulled up to his house, he's a Democrat, the presidential election was coming up between Biden and Trump, and several people, we'll just say people, came out with Trump gear and American flags, the aviator sunglasses and the hats, and they were really boisterous, like really just really extra, and they were putting out this air of laughing and just making something comical out of it. Until somebody pulled up to him, one of the folks that was experiencing houselessness pulled up to him and said, "Do you even know what this march is about?" And they said, "Oh, this is about Black Lives Matter, isn't it?" And the person said, "No, this is about houselessness. Do you think people don't deserve houses?" And the gentleman said, "Well, no, I think people deserve to have a roof over the head." And they said, "Well, then what's the problem here? Why are you here? Why are you yelling while we're speaking? And plus, this is a Democrat, and if we're guessing correctly, you're a Republican. So what do you want?" The deflation I watched in this young man's face was magical. Let's just say he just was a fish out of water. He didn't get it. He didn't understand. And he kind of had to take some steps back, him and the rest of the guys. And one guy was really, really overzealous and didn't want to hear anything. He's like, houselessness, Black Lives Matter. But the point is that they came in, obviously from a different political spectrum. I'm not saying that we were Democrats, but we certainly weren't Republicans. And maybe there were some Republicans in the audience. I can't speak for everybody. But that being said, they then had to play ball and actually talk with folks that were experiencing houselessness and have a conversation. And they did. And this is when we talk about values, principles. And principles are really non-negotiables. They're the legs underneath the table, like for you. And values are what's on top of the table, or that's the way that I look at it. You may look at it differently, but I think everybody kind of had the same principles, whether they liked it, we liked it, or the mayor liked it or not. People were having to see eye to eye somehow, because there was no way, at least I didn't hear anybody say, yeah, these folks don't deserve houses. That's not going to be said. And if you're going to say that, then okay, why are you even here? That's just an odd sentiment. And so they had to come to the table. And I feel that, can you coexist with somebody that has different political views than you? My answer is yes, because if you have the same principles, okay, now let's work from there. And I have friends, I have family members, I have people I worked with that have very differing political views. But the principles and the morals that we share are there. We share morals and principles. There may be some differing values on the table. That's okay. Okay, but what do we share? Like, that's a principle. Do we believe that you should be kind to somebody? Yeah. Okay, well, let's move from there. What else? What next? Where do we work our way up from there? And you'll then find yourself stepping outside of the echo chamber of politics, and then seeing things, not seeing things eye to eye, but seeing things as, okay, what do we have more in common than this political point that's been human made and is within an echo chamber and a small space, but does have bearing on our lives, because politics do have a large, they impact us greatly. But at the end of the day, our morals, I believe our morals do more than anything. Our convictions, our principles, our values, our hearts. I really believe that a lot of that is what drives us initially. And then politics happen to be where a lot of economics, things, I think it's the tip of the iceberg, to be honest, and I can get into more of that later. But the idea is that, can you coexist with somebody that has differing political views than you? I would say yes. Can you have a conversation with somebody that has different beliefs than you? I would say yes as well. And the question is, our beliefs started agreements, and what are those agreements that we've made as people growing up? And some of those agreements have been made for us before we have those beliefs. And so that kind of comes from us all coming from different spaces. And so when we get into, where are you from? What are your morals? What are your convictions and your principles? Because everybody has that no matter where they're from, just being a human being. So for me, what I've done and how I've started those conversations has been at a point of, okay, what's your experience with this? How did that make you feel? Okay, and then how did that principle get created in your life? Okay, now I see where you're coming from. Let me tell you my principle, because I agree with your principle. Like that, I'm with you on that. Let's work from there. And it isn't always trying to find a place where you agree. It might just be like, hey, we see differently on that. All right, what next? It doesn't have to be the here-all, end-all to condemn somebody because they have a differing political view. There are people with political views that differ from you, but they will also say some extremely immoral things or devalue principles that you may have in your life that will just say, whoa, that I can't be a part of this anymore, because you're devaluing principles I hold dear in my life, and you're minimizing what I hold to be true in my life. And so that definitely can take a turn regarding that. But at the end of the day, those conversations can be had, and the question is, how will you have them? And then where do you want to go from there with them, if at all? I hope you found this video of value, and thank you so much for watching all the way through. We'll see you in the next one.